Hey friends, how the devil are you? Right, we're going to talk about language learning, obviously, and a bit of a channel update. I'm not going to do this whole thing handheld. I'm going to put you on a tripod and then we're going to chat. Right, that's much better. I've got my laptop down here, so if I seem distracted, it's because I'm going to check the things I was going to talk to you about. First of all, Spanish. I'm going to put the number of minutes, or hours rather, I've done so far on the screen now. So that's how many, 700 and something. So that has been mostly listening and a lot of watching. So I've been using, as you know, Dreaming Spanish, anyone who's been following the channel so far, and I'll be honest, I've not been doing it properly because I have been listening to the videos purely because I can get more input that way instead of sitting down and getting input through visuals as well. It's just been listening, so that's why I've been using a lot of easy material in order to just pick up words and a sense of the language through that. It's been an absolute game changer for me in terms of my understanding of language learning and the power of input, because I'm still not outputting, I'm still not speaking, but I can just understand stuff. So I've just now bought, so this is 700 and whatever many hours of mostly listening but some watching. I've just bought Atomic Habits, the book that pretty much everyone on YouTube has read and mentions at some stage, and I'm listening to it in Spanish, and more or less I can just understand it. So that can be my input now, just finding easier material for native speakers, which is crazy to think about it. I'm still going to stick with Dreaming Spanish. I've watched literally every video they've got in Spanish from Spain, if you want to say Castilian Spanish, although not everyone says that, but I've watched all of them. I've watched over 3,000 videos. I don't know how that counts because many videos I've watched more than once, so I don't know how it counts on there, but anyway, goes to show with just input I can understand native level stuff, which is fascinating. I'm still not outputting, and I know, so if you're interested in input and how many hours gets you to what level, I haven't really spoken. I spoke very early on and then stopped. I haven't spoken for a long time, and I know now I would be able to get my point across if I had to make it work, and my grammar would be okay. There'll be loads of stuff I'd be getting wrong, I'm sure, but I have just a bit of a sense of the language, what sounds right, what doesn't. I'd never think of grammar rules. I still have no idea what the subjunctive is, but I'm starting to get a sense of the language, and it's really interesting now. This seems to be a turning point. 700 hours where everything's now starting to make sense. Before that, it was a bit cloudier, and I was just getting input, not really worrying about it, just trying to understand the message, not trying to make sense of the language. Now, somehow it's all coming together, because I was thinking previously I might start talking at this stage. I thought, I was going to wait for 1,000 hours to start talking, but maybe I'll start earlier, maybe 700 hours, for example. And I'm so glad I waited. Really interesting. So I might wait even longer. I might actually wait for 1,000 hours before I start speaking. So watch this space, subscribe if you're not already. But things are changing with my language learning. So far, my daily goal has been 2 hours of listening, which doesn't actually sound that bad. I know some people think that sounds like a lot, but if you think of the commute, or for me, walking my dog, whatever, actually, it's not that bad at all. So 2 hours I can get in, and I've also built up the habit. I don't have to think about trying to get 2 hours of listening input, or that includes visuals as well. Don't have to think about getting 2 hours of input, it just happens now. That's just what I do every single day. I decided as of yesterday, I'm going to change that so that my only goal is half an hour of reading every day. I read for well over an hour yesterday. Graded readers, so again, keeping it easy, just picking up words in context, and I'm going to see what's going to happen with my Spanish from them, because that changed my Chinese, which I'll talk about in a minute. So that's it. I'm just going to focus on reading and still try and get my 2 hours of listening, but if that doesn't happen, I won't be losing any sleep over it. The hours will just rack up over time. And another thing which I think is really powerful with input, having just checked my notes, is that with reading now, so I picked up a graded reader, one of Ollie Richards. I think I've pretty much paid for whatever extension he's going to put on his house, because I've got a few of his books. When I started reading last night, because I know my footage in my videos, there's loads of clips of me reading in various things for the B-roll to make my video look a bit interesting, and it's visually, you understand I'm getting input. I haven't actually been doing that much reading at all. It's been mostly listening and watching stuff. Always got the headphones on me. But now that I've started reading, I get this. I was reading yesterday, and I was reading it about the same speed I'd read English. You know, in English, you just see a word. It's like a Chinese character. You don't see a word in English and then sound out every single letter. Your brain instantly recognises the pattern of that word and moves on to the next one. You can't sound out every letter, otherwise you'd be there forever. When I first tried to read Spanish words, as you would expect, I'd be trying to work out the sounds as I was, that word is this word is this. It wasn't like that when I was reading yesterday. Just read at the same speed as English, because I instantly recognise that word because I've heard it umpteen times, or I have heard words similar that follow the similar pattern or something like that. And I just read loads and loads of it. So I think reading is going to be such a game changer. And again, focusing on input, everything just makes sense. I'm not saying, and I don't want people to get the wrong end of the stick in terms of my opinion about language learning, I'm not saying it's only input. You can do other stuff if you want, and in fact you might even learn quicker if you do, say, flashcards or grammar. I just have no idea of Spanish grammar still. I can use some of it, I've got a sense of it, but I haven't really spent any time looking at it. I might do, I'm not saying that I never will, but I think the primary focus for any learner should be input, because that is how you'll get an innate sense of the language, implicit learning rather than explicit. So that's where we're at with Spanish, which I'm planning on doing for longer than I thought. I think the last time I did a language update, I was like, I'll stay on Spanish for another 6 months, and then at that point I'll be speaking and I'll go on to Chinese. Where I am now, I can see that if I stuck with it for at least another 6 months, maybe even longer, I could actually be good at Spanish, like objectively good. So I might just do that. We'll see. I might lust after getting back to the Chinese. I'm not sure. So we will see. Which leads me onto my Chinese. So this isn't like a, hey, I'm an online polyglot type channel. Not many people watching my videos at the minute, as you know, but I started with Chinese, which is when I realised I could learn a foreign language, and then have been learning Spanish. That's going quite well. I haven't actually touched my Chinese in quite a long time, and I realised recently I did like a short sentence in an intro in one of the videos just to make the intro look a bit more interesting. I think my Chinese has fallen quite a long way compared to when I last used it. So the last time I was sort of trying to make any progress in Spanish, I was getting to a sort of starting HSK 5, which is a sort of lower intermediate, an intermediate level. Some people say advanced, and it definitely isn't. But HSK 5 is what I was starting to work through. And now I think if I restarted, I would go through a lot of HSK 3 material, which is a sort of high beginner, which is a bit depressing given the hours that I've put into Chinese. But if I restarted, when that happens, my plan is to just spend a ton of time watching and listening to, there's loads of comprehensible input Mandarin channels. I'm going to focus on a lot of that input just to get more of a sense of the language. I'm not going to try and learn it anymore. I'm just going to try and acquire it through getting a lot of that input and then going back to graded readers. And I'll spend a long time reading literally everything I can at HSK 3, which is very low level. I think that's about 600 characters, but there's enough to understand some stories and start to piece my Chinese back together, so that within a year of hopefully doing that, I'll be well into HSK 5 again. But we'll see. We'll see when we get there. We'll see what that's like. And then channel update. I really like making videos. It's just fun messing about with a camera. I try and put as much quality as I can into them. There's a balance I've decided. I'm going to balance between providing value for you guys and things that I think are helpful for language learners, and also flexing some creative juices. I'm still trying to work out how to use my camera, still not sure how to film, what I want to film, what a style is, what kind of style you would expect if you click on one of my videos. Who knows? So I'm going to keep providing value for you, maybe a bit of creativity for me, and hopefully you enjoy some of that as well. If you've got any video ideas or requests or stuff you want to see, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know how your language learning journey is going. I'll keep you updated. I'll keep making videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I've got to take the dog for a walk, get some input. So, see ya.